This episode of Calling It Now was brought to you by my generous supporters on Patreon. Let's begin.
And you did it right from the start.
Hey everyone, Suede here, and welcome back to this bizarre experiment. Calling It Now is what I like to call it. Now, and the feedback for the last episode was really good, so let's just keep this thing going, shall we? Rules for noobs out of the way first. This is a show where I watch, or perhaps subject myself to, the very first episode of an anime that I've never seen, voted on by high-tiered patrons on my Patreon. I give a brief synopsis, provide my personal, subjective opinion on whether I would keep watching based on this episode alone, and then call it now as to how the show's going to turn out. Along the way, there's going to be some audience participation, so keep your pen and paper ready, boys and girls. This week's anime was suggested by Edward Prescott, a fine individual whom I'm led to believe is quite popular with the people he finds attractive, you sly dog. Anyway, the show in question this week is Toradora, a 35-episode show directed by Tatsuyuki Nagai for JC Staff in 2008. It's based on a light novel series of the same name, and good grief, it's actually been pretty much everything else too. An OVA, a manga, a game. This has to be good, right? Everyone knows a cross-market juggernaut based on a light novel always works out fantastically. Anyway, I solemnly swear on my honor, such as it is, that I went into this episode completely blind, with even the production research being done after the fact. Now, let's dive in! We open with our main characters, I'm assuming, Blue Fringe Grumpface over here, and Scraggles LaCutesneeze over there, as they have an angsty morning while rejected Simple Plan lyrics play over Scraggles' morning hangover and Blue Fringe's attempts to scrub away the sin. After several humorously morose seconds of this, they both look at the camera like, what? And then we hit the opening like a belly flop off the high dive. This is not the tone the cold open sold me, but whatever. It's nice enough, if painfully generic. Walk cycles, colourful design fetishes, assorted tableaus of everyday life, standing, lots of standing. Hey, what are you all looking at me like that for? You're the one who decided to put a camera there. As I said though, it's fine, but it left me confused as to what mood I meant to go into the show with. Is it an emo tragicomedy or a bubbly slice of life high school thing? Well, let's find out. We rejoin Blue Fringe as he tries desperately to clean his house before being impeded by the half-naked lady he has lying around the house. I mean, come on, this is anime, I'm not even sure they need to explain it. But since we're here, why don't we just call it now? What is the relationship between Blue Fringe Grumpface and this living sack of fan service? A. His mother, displaying a lack of restraint that would make Oedipus blush and Freud squee. B. A hobo he took pity on and later found out was hot and also magic. And C. We never find out and are left confused and frustrated for the remainder of our days. And the answer is... A. 2 points if you've got it. Remember, wrong answers subtract a point to a minimum of 0. No cheating. Yes, Blue Fringe is the resident of sole responsibility in a house that contains a constantly drunk mother. This could take yet another serious shift in tone again if we're not careful. No, luckily all that happens is that the mum's all, "Sweetiekins, where are you going? I ain't done making you feel inadequate, sexually frustrated, and awkward beyond your wildest dreams yet." And Blue Fringe is all, "Ma, I gotta go to school. For Pete's sake, put some pants on." And she's all, "Ah, yes, school. Let me show token support with my legs. Yay." "Ma, for Pete's sake, I may be a clear example of an angsty, introverted teen stereotype with a twist of obsessive compulsion to make things interesting, but I think I could safely speak for all God's creatures who aren't in jail that the last image a guy wants in his brain before his first day of school is his mum's legs clapping." "Oh, whatever, Mr. High and FCC. Just open the curtain so I can share my talent with the world." "They are open, Mum. How do you not remember an entire apartment complex being constructed next door over the course of several months?" "Ah, you're cute when you do that, Death Glare. Just like your dad." Nope. I'm out. So after that tightrope act between a dirty if sincere teen comedy and a Lars von Trier flick, we join Blue Fringe on his way to his first day at high school. But not before a random fisheye lens effect that makes me wonder if they're part of some government experiment. Seriously, what was the purpose of that angle? So Blue Fringe is all, "Geez, why'd she have to bring up the Death Glare? Now I'm gonna have a character moment." And then suddenly two randos are all, "Come on, Taru-kun, race you to the sports anime." Oh crap! His eyes have tiny pupils! We must be in a high school horror! Quick, do some ludicrously over-the-top slapstick to change the tone. It'll get us in good with the animators too, since you only need 4 frames to be funny. Now run! And Blue Fringe is all, "So, this is my life." Yes, it turns out that Blue Fringe inherited a death glare from his deadbeat dad, a resting dad face, if you will, and he desperately wishes he could soften his looks despite being pretty darn antisocial in spite of it. Luckily, he has at least one friend, Adorkable Frameface here, and he's all, "Hi, I'm Adorkable. I'll be your Dujin partner for the duration of the series." And then we meet up with Twizzlerhead Pixie Stick over here, and Blue Fringe is all, "I like you a lot. but don't notice, okay? And Twizzler heads all, okay, bark, bark, barkity bark. Then we finally meet up with Scraggles, and it turns out that she has a similar condition, in that she always looks like she's about to kill someone. All the girls are like, it's the palm-top tiger. Then Blue Fringe is all, I get it. It's because you look grumpy, and you're really short. Scraggles then, call it now. A, runs away crying, subverting our expectations. B, shoryukens him into next week. Or C, psychologically scars him by saying he reminds her of her father. And the answer is...
なるほど。手乗り的。なんだよ。ぴったりじゃねえか。
B. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd be hoping for that one too. So satisfying. It turns out Scraggles isn't all sunshine and rainbows either, as she's sick from a house dust allergy. Blue Fringe doesn't give her much thought, aside from noticing that his lust object is her friend, and after an awkward encounter with his career counselor, he heads back to the classroom only for him to call it now. A. Nearly get hit by several chairs in a giant locker, the latter containing a very annoyed Scraggles. B. Get literally pounced on by Scraggles and nearly beaten senseless over mistaking his school bag for hers. Or C. Witness Scraggles have another sneezing fit, only for his concern to be rebuffed with a hearty baka. The answer is...
カバンを取りに来ただけ。
あんたのカバンだっての。バカ。
All of the above. I could barely believe it myself, and it seems like our hero felt the same way. Give yourself a free point, and what the heck? So after that bizarre altercation, Blue Fringe, of course, tidies the mess and heads home. He once again mopes about his resting dad face, and it's revealed his dad was, call it now. Shut up, I can't help it if the good ones are all bunched together in this one. A. An actor who played a supervillain in an acclaimed Sentai show who had Blue Fringe's mum as an apparent trophy wife. B. A rising baseball star known as the Demon for his laser focus and frightening demeanor, who had Blue Fringe's mum as an apparent trophy wife. Or C. A Yakuza punk who kept magazines in his belt in case of surprise shankings, who had Blue Fringe's mum as an apparent trophy wife. And the answer is...
パパはね、天国にいるの。かっこいい人だったわ。いつ刺されてもいいようにってお腹に週刊誌入れててね。しびれる。
C. Yeah, he certainly has daddy issues, but this is quietly pushed to the side after he finds a love note meant for someone else by Scraggles in his bag, and he realizes why she was so upset. Also, he realizes that the envelope is empty, so she's getting all het up for nothing. This, of course, does not stop her getting het up. In the worst way.
窓が。
Yes, so we once again take a left turn into Crazy Town as Scraggles breaks and enters Blue Fringe's house and tries to kill him for knowing her sordid secret. I'd object, but the animation is gorgeous and it leads to my personal favorite line in the episode.
死ぬしかない。
だったら俺を殺そうとすな。
Then, after Scraggles gets calmed down by equal parts truth and heat exhaustion, Blue Fringe is all, don't be embarrassed. Look, I have a serial killer-style fantasy box for the object of my unrequited affection. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You're like Twizzler Head? Dude, way to shoot for the moon. I'm so ashamed. Then, after meeting the world's ugliest cockatiel, Scraggles is all, I hate you, I don't trust you, tsun tsun. But what do you even think about love letters? Pretty outdated, right? Diddy diddy. And Blue Fringe is all, what, you want relationship advice? I can give you relationship advice. Just please, for the love of all that is anime, get out of my house. And Scraggles is all, you'll help me? Yes, sure. You'll obey me like a dog? Mm-hmm. You'll get involved in a complicated but ultimately heartwarming relationship with me after months of systematic abuse and physical trauma? Now hold on. You're hired. Then Blue Fringe is called into her apartment in what seems to be turning into a sexless, gender-flipped 50 Shades ripoff, and then something exactly like what happened in the last episode I did happens. What is it? Call it now. A. Blue Fringe is forced by Scraggles to wear a maid's outfit while doing menial chores for her. B. Blue Fringe nearly has a stroke at Scraggles' filthy kitchen and compulsively cleans the house. Or C. Scraggles is revealed to be a costume designer with way more income than you'd imagine that career would make. And the answer is...
なんかすごい匂いが。愛さがすごかったぜ。
B. So yes, after establishing Scraggles has an amazing house but terrible hygiene, we leave this episode with them establishing a truly bizarre companionship while the ending credits gives us umbrellas. Not much more to say, really. Well, that was Toradora. Did it hook me? Well, it intrigued me, but I would definitely need to see more episodes to make a full commitment, more so than usual. Why? Because even the show itself doesn't seem to know what it is yet. At times it's a goofy comedy, at others it's a hard-edged slice of life, and at times you don't even know what's going on. Heck, I was worried it was going to veer into severely Oedipal territory with his mother there. Yes, an anime can settle down into its groove, and the first episode is mainly meant to grab your attention, but it's also important to establish your genre and demographic to the audience so that they can at least least have an inkling that it's their cup of tea before investing. Here, I just feel a little cheated that they asked me to watch more, not only to find out what happens in the plot, but also what freaking genre it is. Would I watch it to the end if I had time? Now, all that being said though, despite my misgivings, I am still intrigued, and the dynamics between the characters are snappy and involving. It seems like a fascinating study of how friendships built on opposing forces can work, and as long as Scraggy doesn't go from sociopathic to abusive, it could be a very interesting look at how we can help each other to survive in this crazy world, even when our interests or personalities differ. That and everyone's reaction to Blue Fringe's resting Yankee face is pretty much comedy gold, and I love it. So yes, if I had time I would give it a chance, even if the first episode didn't exactly have me chomping at the bit. Well, now it's time for me to do what the title of the show says and start guessing where the show's going to go. Well, calling it now, I'm guessing shenanigans are going to ensue for a couple of episodes, obviously, and their sordid ring of acquaintances grows with more clashing and broadly complex characterizations. Then, after about halfway through, we find out that Scraggles is actually the child of a very prominent Yakuza boss, born knowing only privilege and violence her whole life until she had to be moved across the country for her own safety. The theme of this series will be about how even the most incompatible people can still bring out the best in each other with the right mindset and perspective. Then at the end of the season, Scraggles and Blue Fringe's relationship has just about gotten to a truly friendly stage, and both of them make a joint plan to confess to their prospective crushes before a bombshell is dropped when it's revealed that Scraggles' dad ordered the death of Blue Fringe's father. Blue Fringe has no idea how to deal with this and cleans everything he can find before realizing that friends are friends, no matter their family ties, and he doesn't want to lose the relationship that has brought out the best in both of them. They then have a will they won't they moment before deciding against it and closing on another yep, that's how it is ending. But honestly, what am I talking about? That's way too convoluted. It's far more likely that the whole thing is set in a city inside the anime fans' collective consciousness, known as Weebopolis, where the different anime genres are segregated by 4 walls, with the shonen characters in one sector, the shoujo magical girl characters in the second, the horror thriller characters in the third, and the mecha characters in the fourth. This show was meant to be a light-hearted shoujo high school comedy, as evidenced by the opening and occasional appearances by wacky shenanigans, but Blue Fringe is actually the son of a trophy wife character from a Yakuza thriller anime, who crossed the genre border illegally after her husband died, and she knew that the plot called for her to be kidnapped and tortured next for the grim anti-hero to rescue. This is why she can't remember the apartment blocking the window. She comes from a region where episode-to-episode continuity is more important, so unexplained changes in scenery don't register in the native's brain the same as hers. For them it's just what happens, so there's no need to question it. This is also why the cockatiel is so ugly. It went from a realistic genre to a cartoony genre too fast, and now it's stuck in the middle. This is the reason why every character reacts badly to Blue Fringe's face too. It doesn't match his genre, even when he tries his best to fit in. Then, about halfway through the season, we find out the real reason he had a sudden connection with Scraggles. She's also from a different genre sector, that of the fantasy shonen. After they discover this, they work together to wake up the masses, bring down the genre walls, and destroy the orthocracy. But, coincidentally, after a budget cut, in the last 3 episodes, the 4th wall comes down, and then things get a little experimental. The genres change from scene to scene, Scraggles dies in a pool of glittery blood, and finally Blue Fringe stands on a white page for the last 5 minutes while the camera slowly pans out to reveal Osamu Tezuka, who turns to the camera to utter the final line of the series. Ain't I a stinker? The rain pounds against the window, reminding me of how angsty I am. The faces of those who gave me the money to get to this point flashed before my eyes in time with the lightning. John, Joel Young, P.O.B., Joel Schuler, Gray Morality, Allison Bennett, Kurine, Noah Davison, John Gutierrez, Joey Bennett, Jonathan Powell, Evan Bow, Matt Stores, Clayton Goodman, Henry H., Alexa Lasik, Jacob Sullivan, Goose Razorbos, Calvin Atkinson, Cartoon Kitsune, Christian Larson, and Mitchell Hinkman. Then Michael Goleniewski appears. His sapphire locks haunt me like Trey McGowan's ruby coxcomb, Mark Dean's emerald coif, Grant Gangle's ivory skin, Colleen French's candy-colored jumpsuit, Loomsy 96's raspberry latex, Ticking 101's flaxen headpiece, Ryan Griffin's DeLorean of aluminium fate, Andrew Welsh's judgmental armchair, and Zachary Taylor's presidential demeanor. They taunt me, trouble me so much that I have to think of Elio Rivette, Zach Geller, Super Bunny Bun, Stephen Walker, Dark Major 707077, Natoxicated 54, The Dark Master, and James Nicholson, just to take my mind off of the others. Them I can do something about. It's only a matter of time. So that was Toradora. Remember that this is still early days and I'm always looking for feedback. Thanks for indulging, and calling it now, you're going to be checking your neighborhood for new office buildings tomorrow.
Hey, transfer students! I'm Chie Saltanatha, and I'm uncomfortable.
Hey, Chie, I just want to...
Try it at the dragon!
Oh, mother...